name is Richard Williams. I work with the district in the Department of Research and Evaluation in that section. And I also am a part of the task force, of which I help to provide some of the data. I'm interested to see what programs or what are policies that are being done by members of the task force as well as the community to help to improve the graduation rates and reduce, if not eliminate, the suspension rates as much as possible.
Hi, I'm James Green. I am the Division Director for the Youth Services Department, the Outreach and Community Programming Division. I'm here tonight to hear what needs to be said to atone our community and orient them to what needs to be done to help black males throughout Palm Beach County progress through the education system. I would love to see the community getting involved, getting engaged, finding some way to participate in the process of helping us to get our black males to graduate from high school and to move on from high school to some type of education or training or into the workforce. It's very, very important that we get you involved. When everyone's involved, it's much easier, and we have plenty to do. So if you want to get involved, number one, you need to understand what's going on, so get engaged with the Superintendent's Task Force. I hope that this meeting will lay the foundation that will help everyone to understand where we've been, where we are now, and where we're trying to go in the near future.
Hi, hello, good evening. I am Horace Towns, a public figure. First off, I'm an African American man, and in my community, I want to be someone that can be a positive image to kids and other men in our community. This is a nice outlet, and this is something that I think is very impactful and very positive. I think education is very important, and if showing up and attending or volunteering is going to make a difference, then I'm here tonight. Oftentimes, the changes that you want to see, you have to be. You have to be the change that you want to see. And I want to see more African American men. I want to see more men not telling, but actually showing, being that example. And maybe we can trend towards a change and have more people, more parents off the couch on a Thursday night or Wednesday night and out supporting the educators, the council, and all those that make these decisions for our kids. So I want to come, be helpful. I want to talk to the people and hold them accountable. But most of all, I want to be the change that I'm trying to see.
My name is Keith G. Wright. I am the MTSS case manager at Palm Beach Lakes High School, restorative justice mentor at Palm Beach Lakes High School, and also the school-based team leader at Palm Beach Lakes High School. I'm here tonight as a host and leader of our school's Black Student Union. I represent a group of young boys and women at Palm Beach Lakes who are trying to make a difference and trying to do what they can to elevate young people in our schools. And I appreciate being here. Look forward to this event. As a result of being here, I like to see an elevation of young black consciousness in our schools. We have great youth who are just looking for direction, who just really need direction. And I'd like to see us come together as educational leaders and provide that for them. I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say here and working with everyone to provide a positive outcome.
We've done a lot of work in the state of Florida to advance the idea of the African and African American curriculum and stabilizing our children with the knowledge of themselves. And like I was saying earlier, I look at Mr. Gent, and I know I got a few expressions pointed at me when I made such an analogy. I compared Mr. Gent with LeBron James. You know how you think about basketball, and you think about the best player on your team, and when they get ready to get a transfer and go to another team, like LeBron has done with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I was telling you that Mr. Gent is going to only be 2 counties away, which is St. Lucie County, and Now he'll be competing against Palm Beach County as it relates to the advancement of children, particularly African American children, since the statistics have shown that we are the ones that are left behind. So I wanted to say that with hopes that we can keep the spirit of love and respect inside of Palm Beach County, because I know I've been through maybe about 5 or 6 superintendents, and many times we lose our spirit based upon who's at the head of the school district, and I don't want us to do that this time. I hope that we can keep a spirit where even if we had to invite Mr. Gent to come back to help us or for us to go up to St. Lucie County in order to assist him, I'm hoping that we will keep that kind of thoughts inside of our thinking process, because I believe that well, at least I know that there are 67 counties, and all of them have the same Florida mandate, all of them have the same laws, rules, and regulations, and all of them profess to have the same quality of love. But we're going to challenge that, because just like in sports, they challenge. In education, it's critical that we challenge, and tonight we're going to get that started. And first, I wanted to thank the students from the Black Student Union from Palm Beach Lakes High School, and I wanted to thank the student union from Suncoast High School and the student union from Inlet Grove. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jen. He's going to give you a welcome.
Good evening, everybody. The mic's on, so you can hear me good. Yeah, Brother Carl, nobody's ever called me LeBron before, and he did that at the school board meeting, and I went home and played it for my 2 boys, and they were like, "What's wrong with that guy?" And so I tried to explain to them what he was trying to say, but it's great to be here, and I do want to say first off to Brother Carl, you know, tireless worker, committed to helping all our students, particularly children of color, and holding us accountable in the school district. And I just appreciate what he does. And he did mention that I'm going to be going up to a different county this summer. And our calling is the same. You know, our calling really is service. And what we get to do is serve our students. If it worked for the students, we wouldn't have a job. And sometimes folks forget that. So I appreciate what he's done and look forward to still staying in contact. So we have 3 schools here, 3 student unions. Lakes, where's the Lakes crowd? All right. We got Suncoast? They're not here yet? Inlet Grove? Okay, all right. I was just talking to Miss Banks out in the parking lot. You talk about a LeBron James. There's a LeBron James right there, Emma Banks. Miss Banks is out here right now. I don't know what time it is, almost 7 o'clock, and she's still out here talking to every parent that's picking up their students. Palm Beach County is a great place to work, and we have a good school system. I just wanted to share some information, just some of the stats and some of the data before I sit down, but because we're data driven, and also to the students. How many of you are seniors? Raise your hand, let me see the seniors. Okay, so for the seniors, if I ask you, and I'm not going to ask you out loud, but I want you to tell me, I want you to think about, a year from today, where will you be?
Florida State.
Somebody said Florida State. Where? Ringling. Jackson State. FAU. Palm Beach State. Where's the juniors? Any juniors? All right, 2 years from now, where are you going to be? Okay, ASU? UCF? But everybody's thinking about college, right? Everybody's thinking about college. Great. So for the seniors this year, when you come across the stage out at the fairgrounds for the graduation, who knows the date of their graduation? May 18th. What time? 4 o'clock. All right. I will be there, and I will be the first hand you shake when you come across the stage. And you're going to be all afraid, and some of your hands are going to be sweating. But don't worry about the 5,000 people that are going to be out there. They're all there supporting you. But I want you to say to me, I met you at Inlet Grove. Okay? All right? And then we'll pause for a minute, and I'll give you a little more glory at that time when you come across the stage. I just want to say some stats about Palm Beach County. We're not where we need to be, but we're certainly moving in the right direction. I talked to the students right now about our graduation rate, or that they're going to graduate here in a few months. But our graduation over the last 3 years has increased about almost 4% overall. And this past year, For African American students, over the last 3 years, we've had a 5% gain. For Hispanic students, about a little over 6%. With our exceptional education students, over 11%, and with students on free and reduced lunch, 5.6%. So the trend is going in the right direction. But what's really impressive this year, and I really attribute it to some of the work of the task force, and not anything that I've done, but really what folks like Brother Carl and those of you that are in the community have done. Our black male graduation rate from last year to this year went up 5.5%. And that's something to celebrate, and that's something to be proud of. Again, we still have many challenges, but we see that trend line. We outperform the other urban districts with that, and it's not that we're in competition, it's really that we want our students to perform at the highest level. And we still have a long ways to go, so we're very proud of that, our teachers and working with their parents. And it's through occasions like this, I'm so impressed to see the students here this evening, that we work together, and you guys are the models. You don't know it, the students, but you're the role models, and not just the freshmen. I know you don't talk to the freshmen, but they look up to you. The younger kids in the middle school, the elementary kids, they look up to you. And you're all dressed up nice tonight. You got your ties on. You're looking sharp. But you are the role models that we need, and we need many, many more of that. So when you take off and you go on the way to college, how many of you are going to be teachers? Anybody? Well, if you're going to be a teacher, you know somebody's going to be a teacher, you find me and you've got a job and you get out in 4 years. Okay? Or you find Dr. Lee and he'll hire you. He'll be right here. Well, I don't know where Dr. Lee will be in 4 years, but you look around because we need you, and we want you to, and whatever the profession is, we want you to come back to Palm Beach County. We want you to contribute. We want you to mold and some other young people just like yourself. So, Brother Carl, again, it's great to be here. Thank you for what you do, and look forward to this evening's program.
And as we continue to try to place our footsteps in the sands of time, we know that it's a multi-effort. And many times when you're talking, sometimes we talk only to our own specific group. But as we expand the thought and expand the love, I wanted to bring my Hispanic, Latino, what do you call it? I love that. And I wanted to bring them forward because these are part of the Black Student Union at Palm Beach Lakes, and we're trying to advance the lower rail of all of our students. And we're planning to do something meaningful inside of the Hispanic community very soon. But I wanted to bring a little bit of the challenge because I know that Miami has a large Hispanic population, and I know that they're challenging too. And I just wanted to bring and introduce, let them introduce a couple of the players that we have as it relates to students inside of Palm Beach County.
How you doing? My name is Israel Perez. I'm the parliamentarian of Palm Beach Lakes BSU.
How you guys doing today? My name is Luis Vasquez, and I volunteer at Palm Beach BCU at Palm Beach Lakes High School as well.
And I just wanted to bring them forward because as we continue to try to make our attempts to communicate with everyone, it's important that we fellowship with one another, because I don't see any other way for us to do it as long as we continue to do what we're doing. We're going to have to change, and I'm hoping that tonight is a very pivotal moment inside of the history of education inside of Palm Beach County. You know, we've been working inside of Palm Beach County for a little over 30 years, about 30 years, continuously. I know I have, for at least for the past 28. And it's been a journey, even for us to get to this point, because I tell everyone I can remember before we had one word on a piece of paper as it relates to the progress that is needed for African American children. And now we have volumes of paperwork and direction that we have that offer, not just say here in the state of Florida. I believe the product that we've produced here in Palm Beach County is capable of being an example throughout the continent of the United States and around the globe. And we know that we're going globally in understanding and education. We're hoping that Common Core, or one of these testing agencies, put us all together so that we can all be a better world and do some better things.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take a moment and thank all of you for participating in our event that we have this evening. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Peter Vasquez, brother of Luis Vasquez they just met. I'm one of the co-chairmen of Palm Beach Lakes BSU. And I would like to begin with a statement made by Dr. Stanley Scott. Improving the equity is essential to closing that achievement gap experience of African American students. This equity involves ensuring that all students have access to equal resources and curriculum. Removal of these barriers that hinder the process of African American students is also necessary, because industrial barriers seem to be natural and just the way things are. They are sometimes difficult to detect. For example, many may feel that there is a lack of minority students in advanced placement classes, because that's the way things are and have always been. In order to remove these barriers, all students must first prepare for a rigorous and relevant education. Additionally, every student deserves highly trained teachers and effective ones. More importantly, every student must feel that he or she is expected to succeed beyond high school. This expectation may not only be felt by the teachers, but relevantly directly to the student and his or her support system, whether it be father, grandparents, or siblings. When students feel that they are valued and rooted for, they will perform their best that anyone can see. Thank you for your time. I would like to bring to the floor Alex Richmond, the president of Palm Beach Lakes Black Student Union, and Branielle Edmonds.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alex Richmond.
My name is Branielle Edmonds.
And we're going to read this piece written by Damien Cave. And it's basically about Florida's legislature apologizing for slavery. Florida legislature formally apologized Wednesday for the state's shameful history of slavery, joining 5 other states that have expressed public regret for Senator Barack Obama, the Democratic presidential candidate, recently called America's original sin. This was back in the day, so that's why he was a sin. Yeah, you get it. All right. The 2-page resolution passed overwhelmingly in the Senate and then the House, bringing at least one lawmaker to tears. Governor Charlie Crist, a Republican, called it a significant step toward reconciliation. Reconciliation is basically the first step towards true atonement. So this is a critical step. All that is necessary for All that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing, Mr. Crist said in an interview, reciting an adage. I think we are reminded of that today because it takes courage to do the right thing, and it's not always easy. We see that all the time. This is basically what has been going on since the 60s, the 50s. It takes courage to do something, and that's basically what they did. They tried to right the wrong, but we're not going to let them just apologize and that just be it. We're going to keep the pressure on them to do more. Don't just apologize for slavery. How about you actually give us reparations for slavery? Fix the wrong by doing right. Several black lawmakers, especially Senator Anthony C. Hill Sr., Democrat of Jacksonville, have been pushing for a public apology since last year. What eventually passed on Wednesday resembled statements issued by North Carolina, Alabama, Virginia, Maryland, and New Jersey, the last states to apologize for slavery with the resolution in January. I've noticed that they've all been, passing resolutions towards apologizing for slavery. What have they done after that? They get the clout in the moment, but what happens after that? Nothing, because we don't put pressure on them. We let them just get off with apologizing for the slavery. What about us? You apologize, what's next? Nothing? All right. At the end of the day, we said 3 words. I am sorry, he said. I think now we can begin the healing process of reconciliation. Florida's history of slavery is unusual. Its roots stretch back to the settlement of St. Augustine in 1565. Enslaved here took part in a wide array of industries, including cattle ranching in Central Florida and sugarcane harvest in Tampa. Those industries are still like what Florida's backbone is, aside from tourism. So we've obviously invested a lot of economic growth in Florida. We should see that back, that should be given back to us. But now Branielle Edmonds will be taking over.
From 1845 to 1860, it was one of the fastest growing slave states in the Union, said Larry E. Rivers, author of Slavery in Florida and president of Fort Valley State University in Georgia. When things were slowing down in Virginia and still growing in South Carolina and North Carolina, slavery in Florida was growing in leaps and bounds. The state's first slave laws were enacted by a territorial legislative council in 1822, mirroring the laws of our other southern states that included such punishments in nailing slaves' ears to posts if they were caught stealing. Some of this history was recounted before the legislature and was included in the resolution. It wasn't enough to draw clear sobs from Senator Arthena L. Joyner, Democrat of Tampa. The governor said such emotions were understandable. I don't think you could listen to some of the punishments that were meted out in the past before Florida became more enlightened without being moved by it, Mr. Chris said. Florida has made other efforts to address the consequences of institutional racism. In 1994, the state allocated $2.1 million to surviving victims of the Rosewood Massacre, the 1923 attack on a black town in North Florida. And on Wednesday, Mr. Chris said he was open to evaluating whether broader reparations for slavery would be worth pursuing. He warned, however, that this was not the year given Florida's looming $3 billion budget deficits. Some black leaders said they hoped that the addition of another state resolutions would lead Congress to utter an apology of its own, if only to document regrets expressed in speeches by President Bush and President Bill Clinton. At the very least, they said, Florida's statement is likely to continue the country's amplified conversation about race, inspired in part by Mr. Obama's candidacy. It's a good time for the whole nation to address race in a different way, said Carol M. Swain, a professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University, who supports a national apology for slavery. We do need to have the conversation, and it's a much broader conversation than Barack Obama was able to introduce in his speech. All right. On April 1st, 2008, an article on Thursday about an apology by the Florida legislators for the state's history of slavery included an incorrect attribution for Governor Charlie Crist for the quotation, "All that is necessary for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing." Although often attributed to the philosopher Edmund Burke, the quotation does not appear in his writings and its author is unknown.
Notice how they said that they don't know whether or not they should pursue reparations. Well, if we speak up, they would know. You know what I mean? We can't just let them off with, oh, we apologize, it was bad on our part. Now that you know it's bad on your part, how about you make it good? How about you help us get up out of this hole that you put us in? Because it's not just an economic hole, it's a psychological hole. Because we feel like we're inferior to you. This has been embedded into us for hundreds of years. It's not going to come out just because you apologize. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I would like to introduce Jenna Lawrence Blass, the Vice President of Palm Beach Lakes' Black Student Union.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Lawrence Blass, and I will be reading the Equity-Centered Professional Learning Activities written by the Superintendent's Graduation Increase and Suspension Reduction Task Force. 50 years after Brown versus Board of Education, there continues to be a widening of the achievement gap and increased dropout rate for African American students, specifically for African American male students. To address the widening gap and subsequently increase the graduation rate of African American male students, the school district must first recognize the impact of history and the detrimental effects of the prevailing deficit model on teaching and learning. Reflection on equity and culturally responsive pedagogy must be the cornerstone of any graduation strategic plan which deals with equity and social justice. Current research in the area of equity professional development highlights the importance of addressing teacher perceptions, cultural beliefs, and expectations for all students, and specifically for African American male students. Therefore, professional development geared towards teachers, administrators, guidance counselors, resource teachers, and other school district staff must provide opportunities for examining beliefs, addressing institutional racism, and other racial biases that may serve as barriers to academic achievement for African American students, in particular African American males. The district must intentionally build the capacity of instructional leaders and staffs to challenge the deficit model and incorporate Black male students' voices and worldviews in the class and social environment. How can this be linked to personal and professional goals of administrators and teachers to underscore commitment to equity and social justice? The school district must continue to enhance ongoing professional development activities already in place to address equity and social justice. It is imperative that professional development currently in place is monitored and results reported. Moreover, the topics of equity, social justice, and culturally responsive pedagogy must be incorporated into other professional development activities, which must have primarily instructional and leadership focus. It is also suggested that the district create awareness among all stakeholders of the district's strong commitment to equity-focused professional development programming. To support these awareness-raising activities, the district must designate a person within the professional development department to promote, coordinate, and monitor professional development efforts in the area of equity programming and culturally responsive pedagogy components. As the graduation strategic plan in the school district of Palm Beach County is implemented, the district is encouraged to use knowledge and strategies gained and incorporate them into the equity professional development programs to continue addressing inequalities regarding language, race, gender, and culture. Data analysis and inquiry are great tools to assist teachers who may experience difficulties with maintaining high expectations for all students, as evidenced by frequent discipline referrals of Black male students, lack of engagement, and low academic achievements in their classes. Equity-based, student-centered professional development is critical to the achievement of desired outcomes in this plan. Across the spectrum of the variety of staff development proposed throughout all the action team's goals and objectives, the equity dimension of that training must be articulated with related knowledge and skills infused in every training. Trainers will be required to infuse components which help participants move from abstract theory to real practice in the classroom, workplace, and community. They will also understand how racism, power, and privilege may affect the outcomes of student achievement. Next up, I would like to introduce McCoy Banton, a student at Palm Beach Lakes High School, also a member from our BSU.
Good evening, everybody, and I'll be presenting the executive summary. The responsibility for the disparities among young people lies within the adults and not with the students in Palm Beach County. We realize that excellence and equity are inseparable, and to achieve that for students, the schools and community must recognize and respond appropriately to help those who most need it. Quite simply, our schools cannot be considered successful until they are fulfilling all of the needs of all of the children. From that, you as adults, parents, and members of the community, you must look within yourself to see what you're not doing to help the students instead of just blaming the students alone. This plan is intended to outline the priority areas and action steps needed to address those issues of disproportionate representation in key areas of the K-12 learning experience of students in the school district of Palm Beach County. It is designed to align the focus and resources of the district and the community, individuals and organizations, on the needs of our academically challenged students so that they too can live the American dream. A template for action team reports were designed to capture the essence of each team's recommendations. Specifically within the template, the action teams recommended specific strategies to increase the graduation rate and reduce suspensions related to the team category or focus. Further, the template includes columns to match the following with each strategy: individual or department responsibility, timeline, scorecard or measurement, and projected costs. And next up is Dr. Joseph Lee.
Good evening. Just a couple of things. I am so encouraged by this group of students up here. This is incredible. Let's give them a round of applause. When I came in this evening, every one of the students came up to me and greeted me personally, and they spoke to me, told me who they were.